Thank you for joining us for this webinar Wednesday. My name is Sharon and I'm with SIPA, your Colorado Government Authority, helping you get more information and services online. In today's webinar, Vamsi Tadagamala, I even practiced that earlier. So sorry, Vamsi. OGX's AI practice lead will be sharing how we can all maintain AI momentum. Before we get started, please go ahead and turn on captioning if you need or desire, and note that during this webinar you are muted. If you have any questions or would like to communicate with Vamsi at any point during the webinar, please use the chat box or the Q&A feature. We will unmute everyone at the end for any remaining questions. We'll also have some poll questions for you to answer during the presentation and a post-webinar survey, and we deeply appreciate your feedback. Please join me in welcoming Vamsi. We appreciate his time and look forward to what he has to share. Also on the call is SIPA's Sales and Marketing Director, Beth Justice, if you have any questions for us. Thank you all again for joining us today. We appreciate your time. And with that, I will turn it over to Vamsi.
Hello, everyone. Good morning. Thank you, Sharon, for the introductions, and welcome to the SIPA webinar on maintaining AI momentum for Colorado state agencies, assessing readiness and implementing AI successfully. It's nice to meet you all. I'm Vamsi Tadagamala. I'm the AI practice lead and a data science associate here at OGX. I oversee some of the AI engagements in assessing AI readiness and building AI-based solutions for our partners. For today's key takeaways, we will be going over three key sections. Firstly, the importance of AI readiness. Secondly, the OGX approach to capturing AI readiness at your organization. And thirdly, a roadmap for next steps and how you can get started on your journey to AI adoption. Just to kick things off, here's a quote from Dr. Kai-Fu Lee. AI is going to change the world more than anything in history of mankind, more than electricity. And I think this is a very powerful quote. Dr. Kai-Fu Lee is a distinguished AI researcher known for building the first large-scale vocabulary speech recognition systems, and currently serves as the co-chair for the Artificial Intelligence Council at the World Economic Forum. Let's start off with a path for change. The path for change is a continuous process. It's a flywheel in many regards, and it begins with an internal assessment of current challenges in processes, organizational factors, mostly related to data in relation to the organization's future needs. We need to document these needs to support resource planning and outline expected outcomes from the engagements. And then comes the key phase of assessing data maturity and all of the associated organizational factors. In the next step, we have to set clear goals using those insights from the assessment to outline AI adoption for your organization in order to reach the realistic desired outcomes from an IT and organizational perspective. Your organization can then prioritize partnerships with some of the key stakeholders within in implementing the necessary infrastructure to achieve those changes. A key element in doing so will be to engage the stakeholders in continuous learning and iteratively review and monitor progress, capture feedback from those stakeholders to identify areas of improvement, and to generate the fuel that powers change at scale and innovate further, using this flywheel and then going back to internal assessments to understand where you are and set the goals for the future. At this point, I want to take a quick pause and allow all of the participants to answer a quick poll question you see on your screen. It might have just popped up. How prepared do you feel your organization is to take on this change and integrate AI?
Oh, these answers are flying in. I love it.
That's good to hear.
All right. And here we are.
Awesome. That's a good
Nice.
spread. Okay, so we definitely see that there's fewer folks that are very prepared and have a clear strategy. And I would say not very prepared or not prepared at all are the bigger sections. That's pretty ubiquitous across industries, I would say. But that's why we are here. That's why we are here to provide you the insight on how to get started on this journey into AI adoption. Let's begin with understanding the importance of AI readiness. First and foremost, we have to understand that AI has been ever present. It might have been called something else in the past, but it has been a revolutionary force in all industries for a very long time. Right from the application of regression, proportional integral derivative cycles, to the current phase of deep learning and agentic AI solutions. I know this all sounds very specific and jargony, but I'll walk through all of it in just a second. Let's look at impact of AI at a glance. AI can and should always be seen as a tool to augment traditional business models, to foster new opportunities, enable improved decision making, and streamline workflows. More recent developments in conversational natural language processing have transformed the landscape of interacting with computer systems, with the invention of chatbots and assistants that work across modalities and channels and enable intuitive human-like responses. This rise has been exponential, to say the very least, with cutting-edge solutions emerging from all sectors and industries, presenting the opportunity to go beyond traditional human performance on some very specialized tasks. This transformation will undoubtedly empower massive business change across industries, supported by advanced analytics, intuitive insight generation, and data-driven decision-making. Let's move ahead here and talk about how leaders and your ownership at the organization can be a transformative section to AI adoption. It is a cornerstone for not only making it a successful adoption, but also make it sustainable. It begins with assessing the needs with a comprehensive evaluation of readiness on the IT and the organizational elements at your agency, followed by the identification of key areas of improvement and asserting strategic value to the importance to the institution goals and the feasibility of implementing those solutions. And finally, a targeted AI adoption roadmap that utilizes the insights from the prior steps to create an action plan that not only, like I mentioned earlier, makes it successful in adopting AI, but makes it sustainable while being aligned with the business's goals and technological capabilities. Now let's begin with the first section, that is beginning with a comprehensive evaluation. What is an AI readiness assessment? It is a diagnostic and assessment framework that is designed to evaluate an organization's preparedness for AI adoption. It focuses on 5 key areas: strategic alignment, data readiness, technology infrastructure, the talent and skills, and operational readiness. Let's quickly go through some of these 5 sections and give you a quick overview of what is in each of them. Strategic alignment is to ensure that the AI initiatives align with the organization's overall business goals and strategic vision. Some of the areas for assessment are to identify the vision's long-term goal for AI adoption, the leadership's commitment to identifying key sponsors for those AI projects, and determining how those projects align within the objectives of the organization. Secondly, on data, it's going to be about data quality, accessibility, and the governance policies that are in place to ensure effective solutions that can be built with equity, security, and reliability. The purpose of this section is to evaluate the quality and make sure that it supports the AI initiatives while making all of the participants within the organization confident in its quality. Thirdly, the overall infrastructure that supports this data is essential to the adoption. By assessing the existing technology stack, their compatibility with AI tools and platforms, the opportunities in integrating these solutions with existing systems, and potentially identifying those barriers to long-term adoption and integration. The last bit is, of course, going to be around cloud and other scalable modalities to stay agile and flexible for development and deployment. Moving on to the fourth section. This is going to be around the people in your organization. They play an essential role in this adoption, and understanding their skills and familiarity with AI tools is going to be an essential part, and understanding any skill gaps in these key roles, such as engineering, data science, or analytics, can help the organization strategize talent acquisition and retention policies as well in the long run. And finally, let's talk about operational readiness. Operational readiness talks about the evaluation of the organization's readiness to integrate and operationalize those solutions. It is going to depend on the maturity of the processes that are in place, the change management systems that exist, and the compliance and risk management models that your organization has to deal with in terms of regulations or other restrictions. All right. Now that we've talked about the assessment and the inputs to understanding AI adoption, we should talk about how these insights can inform the prioritization of use cases and developing a strategic roadmap. Let's start by capturing the pain points, because that is going to be influential and highlight the inefficiencies and areas for improvement through the surveys and the interviews with key stakeholders. This is to understand operational challenges, as well as conducting those interviews is going to help us identify those challenges and opportunities within your organization. The second is going to tabulate and evaluate the feasibility of those use cases based on impact, benefits, and the risks associated with each use case. Then it is best to recommend the most ideal set of use cases that align with the organization's business strategy and provide guidance on implementation. Then the fourth step is to document these recommendations and outline the use cases along with a plan of action for development and implementation. Moving on, the next piece is going to be about developing a strategic roadmap. Now, developing a comprehensive AI strategy is going to be key. It starts with developing a strategy that not only supports those specific use cases in the short term, but also developing a long-term strategy that can support the organization's vision and mission. We want to obviously focus on making sure that change management is not a blocker, but a powerful tool, and developing an adoption process that is implemented in phases provides clear milestones, and it also enables sustainable management of development and change. Then we also want to talk about aligning AI initiatives with strategic objectives to control and monitor the progress of AI adoption. Your organization should evaluate the impact on overall organizational strategy. And finally, to develop a technological roadmap that supports the needs of the long-term development in areas such as tech infrastructure, tools, and the talent in order to support sustainable AI adoption. All right, now let's take another quick pause. I want to present this question for all of the participants. What are the specific use cases for AI have you identified within your organization, and which departments do you believe would be the most engaged in implementing these solutions? And if you have something that doesn't fall into these buckets, please do feel free to share those in the chat. We'd be happy to listen in and learn from what you have identified as opportunities as well.
All right, looks like we've come to the end of people answering. I'll go ahead and end the poll. And there we are.
All right. it looks like productivity tools seems to be a large chunk, which is not unheard of. Chat agents for improved customer engagement is a decent development, but a powerful tool that gets nearly 50% of the participants as well. Advanced analytics for financial and administrative departments, that's a hefty 37%. I didn't see
We've
content
got
creation.
Lindsay, content creation. That's a good one.
Absolutely. And that's going to be a part of the generative phase or decent development in AI adoption and large language models and test automation as well. Absolutely. And that's going to be focusing on the IT side of your organization. And it's a powerful tool to reduce some of the test life cycles that we see. Awesome. That's great answers. That's a lot of variance, and that's what we like to see. Because no one solution in AI is the same as the other. And we need to make sure that the solutions are not only top down, but bottom up as well, based on the use cases. Now, let's talk about quick few examples of practical AI use cases that have been implemented by government agencies in the past. I want to talk specifically about operational excellence, firstly, and the Department of Labor utilizing cloud-based NLP models for language translation and claims document processing. Now, this has helped them in improving the efficiency with which they process claims and improvement communication services. That undoubtedly improves customer experience as well, which I have an example of the city of Pittsburgh implementing a traffic control system that could reduce the amount of time vehicles spend at an intersection and reducing emissions during the pilot phase, which I think is a great. Everyone's been in traffic, everyone appreciates a little less time at an intersection. And talking about financial efficiency. Now, AI has been used across different markets, but this example of the SEC using it to improve its operations and detecting fraudulent activity based on past digressions is an amazing opportunity to flag potential fraud, highlight risk, and present better compliance, which is going to be the next section where the National Archives and Records Administration used AI to remove PII information, which I believe is going to be a big part of all of our participants' thoughts and considerations when talking about regulation. And that has helped them improve compliance with privacy regulation while managing historical documentation.
Hey, Vamsi.
Yes, yes,
We
Sharon.
have a question in the Q&A, kind of a question. A attendee wrote, "This sounds like having a game plan or playbook before talking to AI vendors at a conference expo and buying something based on too good to be true promise." Do you have any comments on that?
Absolutely. Having a game plan and a playbook and understanding what your needs are is going to be essential uh, to making sure that whatever you're buying at an expo or taking on as a solution that's out of the box is particular to your needs. Um, I a lot of AI solutions promise the world, but having the wrong product fit for your use case can really make or break long-term adoption. Because I guess this is a personal opinion, but once burnt, twice shy is a sentiment that a lot of organizations and people do hold. And we want to be cognizant in making sure that anything that we take on is not going to set us down the wrong path long term. And that is one of the key reasons why an AI readiness assessment is going to help identify those use cases, those opportunities, to make sure that it is, again, the adoption is successful, you get what you want from the technology, but also leads you down a sustainable path for further expansion and folding those processes, those tools and technologies in across a larger scale, wider organizational level. That's a great question. And I do definitely agree that having a playbook is one of the best first steps that an organization can take. And that actually transitions perfectly into the OGX approach around AI readiness. So I can quickly talk you all through how we as a consulting agency, provide supports to our partners in a comprehensive approach with 6 critical stages on the AI readiness assessment lifecycle. And each of these phases comes along with key critical outcomes, which I will talk about in just a second. The first phase, and the most important one, is project communication and coordination. We want to keep our stakeholders engaged, informed, and keep them up to date on anything that's happening across each of these subsequent phases. The first one of which is the data infrastructure assessment. Here in this phase, we are going to be talking to your data org, talking to them about the data management practices, identify strengths and weaknesses. Do you believe your data quality is of the highest standard that you see? Then moving on to the organizational readiness assessment. This is talking to your executive vice presidents, talking to your executive leadership in assessing the culture, the processes, the workforce skills in order to understand where you are as an organization in adopting that change. And the fourth phase is to identify those use cases, like I mentioned earlier. We want to prioritize them, that make sure that they align with the organization's strategic goals, and also prioritize them based on feasibility. Based on those suggestions, we will develop a comprehensive roadmap that outlines the integration of AI with existing systems and the opportunity to grow these solutions with time. And finally, we have a final presentation and closeout providing actionable insights and recommendations for partnerships if it's an out of the box or a AI solution that's available at an expo, or building internal capabilities to ensure compliance is first and foremost in all of the thought processes. Let me talk you through some key sections here, because the organization and IT readiness pieces are going to be essential in defining the inputs to the readiness assessment. So like I mentioned earlier, the organizational readiness respondents are going to be your C-suite or executive stakeholders, around 30 questions across different segments in organizational readiness, things around culture, talent, what is the potential value and organizational change management approaches. And these questions are organized in a manner that it gives a comprehensive view for us to perform analytics and present insights. Now, some of the examples could be that the organization's culture supports on long-term ongoing AI learning. It could be that some of the insights that we find out are that there is no clear understanding across the organization for how AI can bring benefits. And what we understand from the first poll question as well is that you are not alone in the idea that you feel that your organization is not prepared or not prepared at all to adopt AI within. And that also talks about the IT readiness of the survey. Here we speak to your IT management teams, your CTO or your CIO, and following a similar format where we ask around 30 questions. Again, all of these are structured in a manner that give us an idea of current capabilities, future needs, and how your data side of the organization is prepared to meet the strategic goals for AI adoption. Similar examples could be that IT systems are scalable or not scalable, and that can adapt to integrate new technology. Some of the IT teams possesses the skills to implement the change, but they are not either strengthened or not given the platform to implement those changes. Or maybe data governance policies are in place, but they are not ubiquitous. So those are some of the kinds of insights that we could come across and find through these surveys. Just to give you a further look under the hood about the key activities and some of the stakeholders that you can expect. We will conduct in the organizational readiness phase some of those key stakeholder interviews and workshops to gather perspectives, expectations, and some of the concerns that the organization stakeholders have, following which we'll determine the alignment between the AI initiatives and the strategic objectives of the organization, mostly to clarify on the purpose and alignment of AI adoption. Then developing a success measurement framework. And this is around incorporating relevant KPIs. Is it Is it customer satisfaction? Is it operational efficiency KPIs that we want to look at? And we want to also capture any cultural appetite for change and overall AI adoption. Finally, it's going to be around the training needs for managers. Managers are going to be, at some level, key champions for AI adoption, and determining their needs is going to effectively lead AI adoption and manage change. Some of the outcomes could be around the stakeholder readiness assessment report, the sentiment analysis around AI adoption, the training needs, again, like I mentioned earlier, for managers and other employees, can present an opportunity to understand where is an opportunity for improvement, an area that is a gap within the organization. I quickly want to take a pause here and answer one of the questions that's come up. Are you aware of any government agencies that have violated privacy or data security guidelines, such as PII, with use of AI services and have been subject to legal action, fines, or other penalties? I'm personally not 100% sure if there are any government agencies that have violated, but I am confident that it's not the wild, wild west with AI technologies at the very moment. It might seem so, but there are definite guidelines and guardrails that are being built into a lot of these solutions to prevent any of those violations. Now, these might be enterprise solutions. These might be more specific in-house solutions that might come up. But yes, your hesitation is well placed. All of these requirements and privacy considerations are something to be cognizant about, and that's another piece around compliance and use case specification that we recommend is going to be a key part in AI adoption as well. All right. I do see another question in the chat about conducting a survey to determine the best use of AI in our organization. And Eric, I could not agree more. That's a great first step. We want to make sure that it's not only top down, but like I mentioned earlier, there's a bottom up approach. Things that are useful for your operations organization are not going to be particularly helpful for your IT teams. But quickly moving forward, let's talk about the IT readiness. The details and key activities here follow the same rubric. We want to assess the current state of data quality and relevance to operations. Do you have the most accurate, clean, and appropriate data to actually inform these AI systems? Because data is going to be the life and blood of any successful AI solutions as well. To review the data governance policies and IT infrastructure, that kind of ties back to the PII question that was in the Q&A just earlier. We want to make sure that there are guardrails and policies in place for data governance at your organization and possibly identifying areas for improvement to make sure this AI adoption doesn't cause undue risk and make sure that compliance is first and foremost. We want to also identify inefficiencies and opportunities for data security and integration workflows. Each IT organization is different from the other. There are different appetites for change. There are different OCM practices that are available for integration of new technologies. I think everyone here has gone through a difficult technological change project in the past to upgrade a system, to integrate a new system, make two systems talk to each other. Unfortunately, each solution works differently. And we also want to benchmark those current processes against industry best standards. So we want to identify those improvement opportunities, not only for AI adoption, but the actual framework and the foundational sections that other competitors or other colleagues in the industry are also implementing. We want to identify the gap between the current technology capabilities and the desired outcomes in assessing those upgrade needs. So we don't want to go down a path where we become completely serverless and cloud native when the requirement is much more scaled down and not very useful for long-term adoption. Some of the deliverables and outcomes here are understanding the current state data quality, the governance findings around the organization's data governance policies and procedures, and a data benchmark study to compare the organization's data handling techniques to industry best practices. Excuse me. All right, let's quickly talk about how do you get started. This is a key section, which I believe that a lot of you might have questions about. So I just want to quickly give you a roadmap that talks about your roadmap to AI readiness. The first section is to define your strategic goals and objectives. We want to make sure that you have an idea or an overall structure of how you want to see AI within your organization. And this might change down the road, but we need to start with an overall objective and collect preliminary information and engage those key stakeholders to understand your organizational appetite, your IT appetite for change and adoption of these new technologies, and then to conduct those surveys and interviews with the stakeholders in order to understand the granularity that exists. It could be data security, it could be data governance, it could be hesitance across the organization for AI adoption, what it could mean for their workflows, and in some cases, their roles within the organization as well. And then you want to compile all of these findings into a comprehensive report. And that's what we suggest through the OGX approach, to compile these findings not only as the results, but also to provide tailored recommendations in step 5 that keep in mind all of the feasibility, the IP considerations, as well as make sure that compliance and security remains at the heart of AI adoption in order to make sure that security and legal roadblocks don't become a long-term barrier to success. With that being said, I do see a couple of questions coming in on the Q&A. The privacy compliance is separate from data governance, although there is some overlap, but the mission of privacy compliance is about data protection and data governance mission is about data management. I do agree. Privacy compliance is there is going to be some overlap, but the mission of privacy compliance is to make sure that all of your PII, your CGIS data is protected and is not exposed to a chat agent or an API that can potentially cause information leakage or present an opportunity for data extraction from sections that shouldn't be exposed to a public or a private enterprise. Now, that being said, it is going to also define what kind of use cases you have. Now, AI doesn't necessarily mean generative AI alone. There could be opportunities for machine learning opportunities that completely stay in-house and work within the data that you have and present either recommendation models or provide some auto-generative models that completely in in-house and aren't exposed to the external private and public sectors. Is there an ROM back of envelope approach to assist leaders to assess some range of timing and investment that can be used in forward budgeting and planning without a full assessment upfront? Usually a fiscal year budget asks need to be submitted at least 1 year in advance of the next financial year. Of course, now financial restrictions exist across industries, and some of the use cases might be a pilot implementation that is not a lot in terms of financial requirements, but provides the organization a guiding light in terms of how an AI solution can improve operations, improve customer engagement. And that provides the opportunity to create a roadmap that not only highlights areas for improvement, how you want to build a product or a service within the organization that brings about the change. But I would say there is no back of the envelope approach to doing so. The requirement for each organization and the approach is slightly different. And some of the use cases might be using an open source API or a solution that's available freely on the market or open source and using it with non-sensitive data to make sure that there is a solution that acts as a pilot and provides the organization with the insight on how to use that solution. Can SIPA describe how the state of Colorado is developing a roadmap to AI readiness and the next steps to roll out to state agencies and employees with guidance and training? Sharon, I'll let you take that question.
Yeah, thanks. As far as I know, it's OIT who may be doing something like that. I know at our user conference, we had Amy Bika and our board member, Brianna Titone, who has introduced legislation around AI, gave a great presentation. So, it's going to be the legislators, it's going to be OIT. When we find out more, we'll share what we can.
Awesome. And I do believe there are some AI guidelines that OIT has published in the past from working with them on a few other projects. So that's a great resource to have. But let me quickly just wrap up and give you an insight into OGX and the work that we do. As you know, AI is a rapidly transforming field, and it is changing the way we work and live. For public sector organizations, AI offers the potential to improve efficiency, enhance decision making, deliver better services to citizens, the whole 9 yards. And that's why we've created at OGX an AI Impact Kit, which is intended to help your organization assess the AI readiness much further. The AI Impact Kit includes a variety of valuable resources, including a copy of the book AI for Good, providing insights into ethical and societal implications of AI adoption, along with a USB stick of recommended AI resources that we've handpicked. And this even includes an AI roadmap. As a bonus, we've included a tile to help you track your belongings. That's not AI related. That's just a good old IoT. And in order to request this kit, please email us at info@ogxconsulting.com, or you can scan the QR code on your screen right now. Please let us know your name, role, and department, and we'd be happy to get in touch and provide you with these resources. I do see. Okay, I'm not going to provide any.
Yeah, we know sometimes things can work slow. We do
Absolutely.
have.
And sorry, go ahead, Sharon.
I was going to say we've got one other person who's raised their hand who had a question as well, so I can go ahead and unmute them if you're ready, and we can start taking questions. Or do you have anything else you want to share first?
No, absolutely. Please go ahead.
Okay, John Townsend, please go ahead and ask your question.
Hey, John, I'm not sure if you're speaking, but you're on mute.
Actually, I did not have a question.
Oh, all right, cool.
All right. Thank you for joining. I hope this webinar was informational and useful.
Right. Does anyone else have any questions? I'll go ahead and start unmuting, and if you've got something, either throw it in the chat or raise your hand and we'll get to you. Vamsi, what kind of organizations are you seeing really start embracing AI? Is it bigger, smaller municipalities? People who have, maybe a IT department or, someone in their organization who really is forward thinking.
I'm going to say it doesn't matter the size of the organization to a large extent, because AI can support solutions, be it a very focused department or a division, or a large organization, in improving efficiency around generative content, for instance. Having an IT team definitely is helpful. It provides the opportunity to get different perspectives around issues like the availability of data, the data security, the quality of information that's going into some of these AI models. And again, it's not only generative content. It's generative AI is the most recent and I would say the most exponential part of the AI sphere right now. But there are several sections that, touch digital twins, for instance, that improve efficiency. There's machine learning that helps you identify common pitfalls of using your workflows or tries to improve workflows at one step at a time. So it doesn't really matter what the size of your organization is, as long as you have a strategic roadmap and identify the use cases that are most important and influential for you. The solutions that work for a company like IBM, and if you use an ERP system like Maximo, for instance, it's going to look slightly different to how do you use AI within a smaller organization that works in supporting your citizens with scenarios like hurricanes, with wildfires, for instance. There are more specific and use case based solutions that definite partners in the field are providing that not only improve engagement with the data that you have at stake and reduces the entry barrier on a lot of occasions with finding those advanced analytics, finding those insights, and using AI as a tool for strategic decision making rather than handing over the keys to AI to basically run the whole show. And that's how we should look at AI within the context of improving efficiency, improving the customer experience, or improving operations at a large scale. And that's going to come about by understanding where your organization is. And that is kind of the entire premise and the crux of conducting an AI readiness assessment and creating a strategy playbook, a roadmap to identify use cases and understand how your governance works and building solutions on top of that. I see that John has his hand up. I'd like to give him the opportunity to pose a question or just provide some commentary.
Go ahead and unmute, John.
Caroline, I'm having a computer issue because I'm not sure why the hand keeps going up.
No
That's
worries.
okay.
I mean, I've enjoyed your presentation and everything. I'm still a little unclear on feeding AI, especially for us local government data and how that data has to be prepared to feed into AI. But I think that may be beyond what you guys want to do with the presentation. So.
Your concern is, I would say, ubiquitous. I think all government institutions have to stay very cognizant about how their data is being used, especially by artificial intelligence. But like I highlighted earlier, there are opportunities across government agencies. The Department of Labor, for instance, using automated natural language processing to make sure that translation is not a barrier to operational efficiency, or the National Archive using it to remove a personal identifiable information to improve compliance rather than have that as a blocker to improving and compliance with regulations. So there are specific solutions that can meet your needs. It all depends on how you implement that solution, keeping the input variables within the bounds of what you're comfortable to share. So a lot of the times we can use a masking or data governance and management solutions that keep a lot of this PII or any personal information outside the scope of the reasoning or the chat agent, because generative solutions are the name of the game at the moment. But there are definite solutions to using AI solutions to to go from where you are and build upon that operational performance to bring that delta of maybe 5% or 10% improvement across the scale. And long term, that gives you the opportunity to say, okay, this is something that is a potential risk, and we want to go down a different path that protects data and as well as makes sure that we don't expose any of this to the private sector, or we don't expose this to a chat agent that's available to the public, and use it purely internally. Now, there are going to be cybersecurity considerations in the whole gambit that is going to be part of the solutioning. But like you said, that's going to be specific to your use case and how your organization wants to implement the AI adoption. I have a question here from Anna in the chat. Can you help with construction companies? Absolutely. I don't think there is any single industry that cannot take an AI readiness assessment to understand where they are and where they can go. Construction companies, let's say any organizations that work with emergency solutions or homeland, everyone has the opportunity to use AI. The solution will be different based on how you use your data, how you use your agents, and what your current workflows are, what is the maturity of the processes, and how you implement that change long term. Is it more of a pilot? You want to see how it works, and you keep it as a pilot restricted to very specific stakeholders, or you release it out to everyone in your organization as an operational efficiency tool. In the private sector, the rate of change is much more rapid. They can test and fail more rapidly. But for the government sector, it takes a more even-handed approach to identifying those solutions, seeing how they can scale efficiently, and also keep all of the consideration around regulation, solutioning for compliance, and all of that good stuff. And I also have a follow-up question from Anna. What makes OGX different from other companies? I can say this with confidence that OGX is an amazing partner with all state agencies. We've worked extensively with departments and divisions within the state of Colorado. If you haven't had the opportunity to take a look at an earlier session in partnership with SIPA, we had that with CDHS talking about data governance and implementing that at an organization, our phase-based approach that served as a model for success. I would highly recommend it. But another key part that makes us, I guess, different from all other companies is we have a long-standing history of partnership and making sure that our clients are not just treated as clients, but are partners in adopting AI. Because this is a new field, we understand some of the hesitation, the concerns around adopting AI within the organization. But at the same time, we want to make sure that you are not left alone and we are taking solution at one thing at a time. We want to help you improve the solutioning for all of the citizens and the representatives that you are accountable for. And we want to help all of you reach that goal, not just through one and done kind of solutions, but build a sustainable partnership that brings the experience above ground and makes you excel long term. And that's at the very crux and at the very core of OGX and how we bring development. We've had long-standing relationships with departments such as the Department of Revenue at Colorado, the Department of Health Services and Human Services. So that's what we pride ourselves on. And Sharon, thank you so much for dropping in the link to the recording from earlier. And yes, and I like to believe that we have done better than anyone else in the state of Colorado in supporting the state agencies prepare and adopt technological transformation. And we are excited to, get to partner with all of you, to say the very least, in the next few weeks or months. All right.
Any other questions for Vamsi before we end for the day? I'm not seeing any, so thank you again, everyone, for joining us. Please don't hesitate to contact any of us if you have any follow-up questions or you want to learn more, do a discovery call, get a quote, anything. We'd be happy to help you with that. We'll be back next month with Propeller, exploring product development and process improvement with a case study. In the meantime, please go to sipa.colorado.gov, register for any of our upcoming in-person regional workshops. These are new that we just started this year. We've been having a lot of fun with them. Everyone has really enjoyed them, gotten a lot out of them. They're hands-on. They're meant for you to really take back action items with you to your organization. Our next one is tomorrow in Englewood. So if you can join us, we'd love to have you. We'll be in Akron on October 29th and in Pueblo on November 8th. So we'll be spreading this around the state and hopefully getting to an area near you if none of those work for you. But we'll be going back again in 2025 and having more. So subscribe to our monthly newsletter to keep up with all of that and other news that we have to share. You can find other services that we can help you procure and any helpful tips in accessibility and cybersecurity resources. Again, we will put this video up on our YouTube channel. So if you want to watch it again, share with a colleague. We'll get that out here shortly. And we really, really want to make these webinars relevant and informational for you. So please fill out the brief 3-question survey at the end. We would really love to have your feedback. And again, thank you for joining us and make it a fantastic day, everyone.
Thanks, everybody. Bye.
Thank you. Thank you, Sharon. Thank you, Beth.
Thank you, Vamsi.
Yeah.